let's get our Din Djarin Mandalorian panel going. From the back of the room, Mr. Lateef Crowder, come on up. Also with Din Djarin, Mr. Barry Lowin. And of course, Mr. Brandon Wayne in a really awesome hat. Look at that hat. And there you go. Oh, I can see there's a little bit of rivalry here between the three of you. Family. Brotherly love.
You know, take a bow.
How you look? What is this you got here?
What are you talking about? Wherever I go, he goes.
He's your little buddy, right?
Isn't that the rule?
Oh, that's excellent. It's one of those ones that sticks on your shoulder, but you decided to put on a hat.
I don't know what you're talking about. He went there. The kid does what he does. Biggest diva on set. Always has to be carried. Always have to look after him. Just saying.
Yes, Texas.
Okay, welcome to Dallas. It's nice and cool here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how.
I mean, going out and working out in it this morning, it was like having a couple guys hug you while you were running. It's pretty thick out there.
Wow. Reminds you of the suit a little bit.
Yeah, it's that 10-pound weight loss first week.
Yeah.
That must have you guys had some? You must have had some really hot days in that armor. That just.
Oh my God! I think every day, even in the winter.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I'm not like Boba and the night owls. They all have air conditioners. We don't. So ours is if you can run fast enough, you might get some wind through there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so I thought we'll start with you, Brandon. How did you get involved in the Mandalorian? And just
I was given a call. Said, hey, I want you to go try this costume on. It's for an untitled project, and I said no, and unless they're going to pay me. I got to a certain age where Hollywood was no longer my desperation choice, but if I did something, you were going to value me for it. If I had known, I'd have been in there in 2 seconds. But thankfully, I didn't know. So they were like, yeah, no, we're going to pay him. I was like, okay, great. So when I walked in, I'm in somewhere near me out in the valley, and I walk in, and I'm like, this is a shady place until I go inside. And then I look around, I'm like, dude, that's Idris Elba, that's Terminator, that's Avatar, Iron Man. And I'm like, these guys make all these guys? Oh, my God. I'm way above my pay grade. Oh, I walk in and pop open this box, and I go, Boba Fett. And they're like, no. I'm like, it's cool, you guys. I signed the NDA. And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's not Boba Fett. Boba Fett. And they were so annoyed. So as I'm trying it on, they're like, no, you're the guy. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying on a costume for these guys. And I generally am a good person for those things because I'm like an average sized guy. And so I didn't think anything of it. And then they brought the helmet in. I'm like, this is Boba, and you shined it up. It's cool. I get it. I won't say it again. And they took pictures, and Mike Manziel and Trevor specifically were there. And they were like, this is unreal. We had originally built this for a guy who's 6'5", who plays Batman all the time, Rich Citron. And this dude's a legend. And they were looking for, they figured out, they had hired him before. They figured out a couple things. First of all, they were going to go with somebody who was not as tall to voice. And then they needed somebody who was, my height. But they also needed an actor. Which is why I'm always very pointed about stating stunts as a craft, and it's something I'm not capable of. Not even close. The legend that is Lateef, which has been honored lately, thank God. He's a 2-time Emmy winner. First individual stunt. Honestly, hey, just so you know, first time they ever recognized individual stunts, Lateef won it, and deservedly so. So to be clear on that, I just want to make sure that that's understood. Production gets to tell me whatever I am. They can put whatever they want in the credits because that's they're paying the bill. So they put me as stunts, but I wasn't. They wanted me as an actor. They understood that they needed an actor who could do the lines and run the scenes. And it was great. It was unbelievable. So I said, okay, cool. And I left that fitting, not thinking anything of it. They called me back, said, hey, we need to see you next week. I said, no, my kid's going to college. They're like, no, you're going to have to push that. I'm like, not going to happen. And now my agent's like, are you out of your mind? And then production's calling. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. My kid goes to college once. If she was getting married, might happen once or twice. Maybe I'll miss that. But college, that ain't, like, they need to see me. All those guys there, they need to see me. And they need to know that I'm willing. And so they're like, you're out of your mind. Finally, they were like, what if we paid to come for you to come back? I'm like, no. Do you understand? No. And finally, they were like, we'll move it. So they moved it to before I left. I went and did the screen test. And they walked up to me with this huge rifle. And I was like, it's too long. I mean, I was walking in. I hadn't even, like, said hi to anybody. And they're like, aren't you stoked to see this rifle? I was like, no, it's too long. The holster's too high. And I started just nailing things. And this guy, Dave's sitting there, and he's writing stuff down. And they're like, this is Dave Filoni. I was like, oops. And then John, I know from Cowboys and Aliens, and there's Kathleen Kennedy. She's standing there with me, and I'm literally just talking to these people like they're idiots. I'm like, you guys got to fix these things, and blah, blah, blah. And then I did the screen test, took off, brought my kid to BU, where she has a scholarship. She's a stud. And then I got a call while I was there, and they were like, they want you. And I had forgotten. I'm not kidding. I had gotten to a stage in my life where I was like, I was cool. I had a great audition, or I had a great screen test, and I leave it and I walk away. And, you know, Star Wars means the world to me because it was my Westerns growing up. You know, they stopped really making Westerns the way they used to, and that was what George needed. He wanted to do a Western, couldn't do it, did Star Wars, did New Hope. So for me, that was my religion, that was my mythology, and that's how I got the part. And it was with a lot of arrogance, apparently.
Now, did they? We all know we saw the rifle in the show, and it was very long. Did they make it shorter at all, or is that the same
They took it
exact
down
rifle?
6 inches from what you saw on the show.
So you
And
got
I'm
them to take it
telling you
down?
right now, yeah, because at first it was dragging, and then it was sticking in our boot. So we'd like go to make a move and be like, I'm gone. And then I had to teach them how to hang it, throw a magnet on so I can flip it off. And they're like, oh, you could do that? I'm like, if you may, right? I'm talking to legends, and I'm like, yeah, make it right.
Good job.
You know, it's serious. Like, everything we have, like, even for me to do the action I do with the gun on my back, or it's him that helps customize it for even me to be able to pull it out. He's like, no, wear it higher, because you have to do this. Keep your hand right here near your hip. And every technique he's taught me is what helps, you know, the action come through as well, you know. So he is an actor. You know, he is 100% an actor, but he's also capable. He's being very modest. He's very athletic as well. He's a very, you know, big athletic background, and there are some times where I'm busy on set doing a fight scene, but he's in the middle of his action, he gets shot. And then they're calling me over to do it, and I'm like, all right, B, you can do this, right? Yeah, man, it's bang, bang, bang. I'm just like, yeah, take it in the shoulder, boom, boom, and he's like, bing, one take, you know? And so that's also, too, why people would maybe confuse him as this and that. Well, he's just a capable, you know, actor, you know? So you gotta give it up to him for that, so.
So Lateef, how did you come on board, or do you remember your earliest moments involved with The Mandalorian?
Yeah, and Brendan kind of got into it for a little bit. So it was weird. I was involved in pretty much before he even got the call. So that's when he's talking about the guy who played Batman. It was originally for him. He's a good buddy of mine, Rich Citron. If you guys know Batman versus Superman fight, he was in a warehouse and he's beating up all the goons to rescue Martha. That was him in the whole scene, and I was one of the guys getting pounded in there. If you can see the guy with dreads on the floor, you know. One of the guys with a knife fighting him, and he's just a good friend. We did so many films together, and, you know, quick fact too, Tate's character, Paz, when we were dueling on the catwalk in front of Emily, in front of the armor.
Boba.
Yeah, in the Book of Boba, that was him fighting me, you know. We're good buddies and stuff. But anyways, he was originally casted as, you know, as a 6'4" Mandalorian. He's a very talented guy. So Jon Favreau and Filoni brought us in before anything to do concepts of what this guy will move, camera tests, and how he looks. So I was part of the action team to help design what this guy would look like, fight like, and things like that. We made up a whole previs. We pretty much shot like our own little mock movie, fight and, with the suit on and everything. And then we finished it and we're like, oh, that's cool. And then John comes later and be like, okay, things have changed. We got an actor to do the, and he's, more closer to your height. And can you guys shoot it again? And maybe you play the Mandalorian. I was like, oh God, no. I was like, oh my gosh, no, what do I do? What's this? What's that? And we just pretty much reshot what we did. And Favreau just, after we doing it, he looked at everything and he's like, okay, you're the Mandalorian. And I was like, huh? Okay. I'm like, all right, so that's a big, okay, what's going on here? And then just like Brendan, when they brought me to Legacy, it's like this ghetto looking place. It was sketchy. I'm like, what's going on here? You go in there, you see Iron Man, you see it all, everything that was on every set. You're just like a big kid in there. And they showed me my suit, and they're like, you got to put this on. And I'm like, is this? And I said the same thing. It's like, wait, am I going to play like another Mandalorian? Oh, cool, like a Boba or something? Or, and they're like, no, it's you are the Mandalorian. I was like, oh, I am the man. I thought I was just going to be in, or just, yeah, I thought I was going to be a Mandalorian. And I was like, oh, the Mandalorian. And just putting on that suit and looking at yourself in the mirror was a trip.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then I met my brother right here, like a month out before we started even shooting.
Yeah.
So we can start
rehearsing
and create, actually. That's what's kind of cool about Favreau and Filoni. They trusted us enough to give us time to come up with what we're going to do. Yeah. And he's pretty much the base of the character. It's based on, it's a Western guy, the cowboy guy. That's him, And then we kind of figured it out when we, how we're going to blend in our actions to go from a cowboy guy with his gun at his hip into a boom, punching, flipping, kicking guy to where it seems almost seamless. Whereas, Western cowboy guy can, be very stoic and Western, but also can be very brutal and, and violent and technical. So I was very proud of that.
One thing I know every time I watch like Barry or Lateef in a scene, I can tell because there's I like to think of myself as a slow brew, whereas those two have, power. And for me, like when you see what was that in the canyon in season 1, and you took on the two
Trandoshans.
Yeah, and he is literally like you see this. It's almost like like a cobra when you see the wings come out on it. To me, he'll be embarrassed by it, but to me, it's the idea that's the power, and that's the superpower. Even though we're human, and that's what I love about Mando, is that all of a sudden you see that like, oh yeah, you guys chose the wrong dude, and you're like, the team.
It goes back and forth, man.
Yeah,
I'll be cheering him on set, man. I'll be like, yeah. Like, shut up, be quiet. Yes.
I'll never forget. They were like, hey. Do you want to go over and help Lateef? And I look in the monitor because he's on another stage, and it's the X-Wing when he's planting the bomb on Moff in season 1. And Lateef is 10 feet in the air, holding on with one hand to the bomb. Like, it's literally just round like that. And he's doing this, and I looked at Filoni, and I told him in my French something with an F, and he could go off it. So I was like, no, I'm good, thank you. He can keep doing that.
So, Barry, how did you get involved, or your first impressions of when you joined the team?
Yeah, I think like probably all of us, it's very mysterious. I got a call that said, hey, can you do suit work? And I had, grown up as an actor and a gymnast and had done all sorts of crazy things in suits. And so I said, yeah, I can do suit work. And they said, okay, we need you to come here. And I went to Manhattan Beach Studios, and I had no idea what I was going to do. No one tells you anything.
Ever.
And I was just kind of like,
on set,
yeah, I was just standing in a hallway, and it was Tamara, finally said, like, I guess we should get you dressed. And I have no idea what's happening. And there's really no one to greet you or, hey, this is what you're here for. Yeah, no one says anything, and these guys had been filming for a few months in the first season, and so I get in this room, and they start dressing me in the Mando suit, and then it's kind of like Lateef said, they leave, and I look in a mirror, and you're just like, what is this, And this is like definitely really cool, but what is this? And like both of these guys had made this guy had made Din Djarin, and Brendan, like we all know, has this walk. He has this signature walk, and so I kept hearing people say like, no one can do his walk, like Brendan's walk, and so I had to watch videos of Brendan walking, and then
Could you show us?
watch
No.
watch videos of
I get paid
Lateef
for that.
fighting, and
You'll have
then try to somehow like be able to combine that. And so I worked with the stunt coordinator Ryan Watson, and just did some movement, watched more videos, and then what was really awesome, I'll never forget that day, is Brendan was like so kind and welcoming. So was Lateef. Ryan was great, and because I had no idea what I was doing. Like there's no prep like for an audition like that, and just going into it totally blind. And Brendan helped me out a lot, and I was just trying to match him as close as I could. And
He didn't try, he did.
yeah, because I guess at that point they had tried a couple of other people. Yeah.
Tried more than a couple.
Yeah. So I was able to do that, and then got a call that said, okay. That was they don't even still no one really says anything other than
it's like, dude,
okay.
you got
Okay.
time.
They're like okay what okay you start next week.
See you in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the biggest end of season 2 was the biggest, like, what the, remember the end,
Yes.
We're
Yes.
like, okay, so.
Yeah.
Were you guys in the room? Obviously, you must have been in the room for that when they.
Oh yeah, none of us,
No
what?
spoilers, but I guess we all know.
Oh,
that-
we all know. I'll say this. I guess I'm kind of lying too. I was probably one of the first to know that day that it was him.
Because didn't they have him dressed up as Plo Koon? Which
Yes.
is one
Oh,
of the
they
Jedi?
had- okay, so-
they had a double, and they put it on the door. Like they were very, they don't tell you anything, and then all of a sudden they're telling you everything about this.
Yes.
They're
And
like,
then-
yeah, so Plo Koon's coming in. It's Dave's favorite guy.
Yeah. And you better not mess up. Okay, go. You're like, oh my God, yeah.
I'm like, now you guys are talking. Now I know you're lying.
But yeah, that morning, Dave and Filoni kind of cornered me and Ryan, the stunt coordinator, and he's like, okay, guys, I told you it was Plo Koon the whole season. We choreographed for Plo Koon. We did everything for Plo Koon, and then they just went, it's Luke. So hurry up, find something for Luke. Is it Japanese here? Find some of this Kurosawa reference. Find this there. All in within that day, that the character was created, and he fought.
Make it look good.
Yeah. And that was the biggest surprise I think ever, and a lot of pressure because
Oh
it was
yeah,
all in that day.
that was a definite shock. I was working late that night, so I decided to stay up till 3 to watch it just for the heck of it. I'm so glad I did.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
the next morning it was Luke all over Facebook.
I just walked up to him and said, I loved you in Corvette Summer, and that's all I talked about.
That was
Annie
his first
Potts,
movie after
Annie
Star Wars.
Potts and him. I'm sorry, I wanted that car and I wanted her. And then she was in Ghostbusters, and I told her this, and she looked at me like, you're creepy as hell.
That's a good next question. Just now, outside of Lucasfilm, so not Star Wars or Indiana Jones or anything like that, what is your favorite movie? Do you guys have a favorite film? Barry, I'll start with you because I'll put you right on the spot. No, okay. Brandon, how about you?
Why don't we start with you? What's your favorite movie?
In answer to my own question would be Star Wars, but I can't because I
No,
said
No, you said outside of Star
okay,
Wars.
outside of Star Wars, outside of Lucasfilm, it would be The Great Escape, 1963.
Oh, great one. Yep. Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Oh yeah, oh god, The Searchers.
No, Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and I'll tell you why. Because although his character, Tom Donovan, is integral, it's Jimmy Stewart, who's he's got all the courage in the world in spite of the lack of ability. And then you got Lee Van Cleef, and you got Lee Marvin. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this cast is so good, and that story you could tell. Like, everybody could watch this again, right now, especially in these times. And it's still relevant what he does. He gives up the notoriety, the fame, and all that stuff, and he tells Jimmy, "Hey, listen. At the end of the day, They don't need me. They need you. You need to go out and lead these people. We need somebody who can stand up and do the right thing for them. And it's a message that y'all, I behoove all of you to vote. Pardon me if there's kids in here. I don't care who you vote for. I don't. But do it and tell your neighbor to do it and tell everyone to do it. Because if we don't, then they keep just taking it from us. So, on a side note, Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, really great one.
But remember, Jimmy Stewart didn't shoot Liberty Valance.
I know he didn't. That's why I said, hey, we need you to do it. Do you know what I mean? That at the end of the day, that's the greatest message ever. It's not those hard men who stand on that wall. We need somebody who can talk to the people who don't have to stand on the wall.
We're gonna go back to this question though, because I got something to say about that. But do you have a favorite movie?
You know what? I'm one of those dudes that I don't have favorites. I see everything so
How about
different.
an honorable mention? The last panel we had with the other Mandalorians, some in the audience asked, "Who's your favorite director?" Like, so it throws all the other directors on. So I said, give an honorable mention of favorite directors. So you can give an honorable mention for movies.
Oh gosh, honorable mention. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna say this one because this one kind of led me to do what I'm doing now. Even though, you know, I got kind of called into this industry, I didn't really pursue it. But when I was in college, you know, in a certain time in my life, and Blade came out. When Marvel wasn't, wasn't doing too good, and yeah, there you go. And what that man did with it, you know, was like. Wesley Snipes, I didn't see Wesley Snipes at all in there. I just saw Blade. Yeah. You know, and to be honest, some of the, you know, a little bit of the influence Mando has kind of comes from a little bit of, you know, that Blade, like, I don't give a, I'm going to, you know, this, you know, that's, spoke to me always, you know. And I think that was the first time. I'm not the kind of guy that sees a movie 2 or 3 times, you know, sometimes just once, and it sticks with me. That one I had to see. Probably the only movie I did see 2 or 3 times in the theater by myself, you know, one of those kind of things. And every time was inspiring, you know. Yeah. His character, you know, what he did with it, the way, you know, he's like, he relates to me, the martial art, we do the same martial art, you know. And he really inspired me to let me know I can do this too, you know. And so I had a little bit of that going, not just, you know, the movie was great, but it was very inspiring for me.
Barry, have you had enough time yet? Or
Yeah,
do
I
you need
think
a little
so.
bit more?
I'm kind of like Lateef, where I don't think I have a favorite, but as a kid, I was really inspired by a lot of older films that had Bob Fosse or Gene Kelly or Fred Astaire in it, where you have these performers that are triple, quadruple threats. They can do more than get up and deliver a line, like this person, you know. So like someone that's like, yeah, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that, and I can do it all in one take. And that used to really fascinate me, watching a lot of the older films where you've got maybe a 3-minute shot and they've done backflips, they've sang, they've tap danced, they've done like 7 different skills in one shot. And I just would be in awe of that. And so that probably was what inspired me to want like a Dick Van Dyke type character that can really just do it all. And that was always what I aspired to be.
Okay, cool. In a couple minutes, we're going to open up the audience for you guys to have some questions. But this time, we're going to do something a little bit different. We got a Mandalorian helmet right there, a Din Djarin helmet. Whoever has the best question, at the end of the day, we're going to give it to. And who's going to make the decision? Will probably me. If you can come up with a really cool question, you can get it.
Okay.
Well, not now. Okay. All right.
Do this right. So
Okay. Next question. The nice-looking gentleman in the front row.
Thank you.
No, you can go first. This guy?
Me, him. We kind of look. No. Okay. So, can you tell us anything about what you're going to be filming next? What's going to be happening?
If you answer that question, I'm giving him that helmet. There we go.
Yeah. Season? Are we in the season? Or are we in the movie?
The movie.
What's going
Yeah.
on?
To be absolutely clear, it's a movie. That's number 1.
Oh.
Let's see, where else can I go with that one? Huh? Well, listen, if you tell all your friends and your friends' friends to go see the movie, I think you might be able to convince somebody at the top of the chain, well beyond John and Dave, that you should do season 4 on streaming.
After the movie.
After you've got to go see the movie. and then we could see season 4. I'm guessing.
Is there anything about the movie you can say? I think that's what the gentleman
It's gonna
wanted
be
to know.
really cool.
Is it being what? It's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, I think Mando and Grogu are gonna be in it.
All right, you're in
I
contention.
think I get the helmet. All right.
Who knows? All the other questions can be bad. Can I see that, Mike? Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to pass. Can you? But before we get to questions, you did talk about the man who shot Liberty Valance.
Oh, yeah.
We got it. I told you yesterday, a couple days ago. Once we bring him up, it's hard for me to stop because he's one of my favorite actors ever. Do you guys know who shot Liberty Valance? Yes. Who? John Wayne,
Tom Donovan.
the Duke. So I got to ask you. You got an anecdote, a little story you can give me about John Wayne is of course Brandon's grandfather and the greatest actor who ever freaking lived.
Thank you in his honor. So Granddaddy, as I knew him, I didn't quite capture that he was a big star because I'd spend time with him either at his house or we'd go out fishing on his boat or whatever. And so he was just Granddaddy. I mean, really, I was on the set of The Shootist. Apparently I was on others, but I couldn't remember. But Shootist, I remember hanging out with Ron Howard and that whole deal. But I still didn't get that he was, like this guy that people cared about other than, my family. And he never acted like that. He never thought he was hot stuff. So, that was just my viewpoint of him. So when he was getting sick, and the whole school wrote get well cards, and I thought it was weird. I was at a Catholic school and I remember asking Sister Roberta Ann, who was a violent woman, so asking her any question could be real dangerous to your health. I said, Tony's grandpa got sick and only this class wrote. So why didn't we all write for Tony's grandpa? She looks at me. And so they used to call me Yardstick also. And it's because they used to break yardsticks on me all the time. And that happened. And then my mom, she comes down. She's like, "What'd you do?" I was like, what do you mean, what did I do? I just asked a question. So mom had to kind of spill the beans. And this guy's kind of a big deal. The next day, Sister Lillian Joseph comes in, hands me this picture, and she wants to help me along. She's like, "That's for you. I want you to keep it." And I'm horrified. I'm looking at my grandfather in The Greatest Story Ever Told. And if you don't know, he plays a centurion in that movie that Jesus turns to at the end. And he's in a leather loincloth and like a leather tunic up top. And there's a lot of him showing. And I was like, I brought that home and I was like, "Mom, what the?" She's like, "That's your grandfather." And I'm like, "He's half naked. And that's Granddaddy, and that's disgusting. And why does she have it?" And that was when I learned that, nuns and priests were humans too. But that was weird. But here's a little story from his life. He had heard that Burt Lancaster wanted to start this thing called busing so that everybody could get a better education. He thought it was, going to afford an opportunity because schools in California were based on land value, how much money they got. So if you were in poorer neighborhoods, you were never getting into these better public schools. And back when I was growing up, you went to public school unless you were religious, then you went to religious school. But public schools were great. So Lancaster wanted to start this busing thing, and he literally did. And my grandfather wanted to find out what it was. So he said, meet me at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and we'll talk about it, how I can support you. And he walks in, and waiter comes up and is like, "Duke, your usual?" He goes, "No, I'll just take a martini." And then Lancaster's like, "I'll take a double." And then my grandfather was like, "No, make mine a double." And I don't think they ever talked about busing at all. I think they got about 10 sheets to the wind. And they're walking out, and my grandfather walks in, he's waving and does this, gets in his convertible, drives home. And this lady's like out of her mind. She looks at Lancaster, she's like, "Oh my God, you know who that was?" And he's like, "Yeah, that was John Wayne. And I'm Burt Lancaster." And she goes, "No, that was John Wayne, and that was my car." Well, my Uncle Patrick had to drive it back.
All right, great. Who do we got for a question? You can win a helmet, but it's got to be better than Lateef's question. This is actually, TK is a friend of mine. He's actually pretty knowledgeable Star Wars. So you going to get him a microphone or what? Oh, we got somebody over there already. You didn't do that?
Yes.
Okay. You're next, TK.
Well, thank you for all the work that y'all do on the show. It's like the Mando and Grogu is like our father and daughter thing. And so she dresses as a baby Yoda, and sometimes it will flip. She's Mando and I'm Yoda.
Does that mean she carries you?
Sometimes, yeah, if she tries. But so my question is, there was talk about the Jedi once fought with the Mandalorians, and I'm just wondering, with Grogu, he has the plate and the armor, and what color is Grogu's lightsaber?
You know the old story about the two wolves inside everybody? And there's a good wolf and a bad wolf. Well, the color depends on which one he's going to feed.
Oh, thank you.
And Dave Filoni would appreciate that wolf analogy immensely.
I hate to give him any credit.
All right, way in the back.
First off, thanks for all y'all do. A lot of times we hear about costumes getting changed and updated over the course of a shoot. Were there any changes made to the Mandalorian costume that made your job significantly easier or harder?
I can answer that.
And I already know what he's going to say.
I got a fan, y'all, in my helmet. That's all See, season 3, I got a fan in my helmet. That was like, and I thought, like, because, I'm doing all this action. And yeah, I see you guys back there. Nice.
Soft.
And, like, if you guys don't know, as soon as you start, like, you put the helmet on, as soon as it locks in, you take 2 breaths and it's fogged up. And imagine just going, it's like you can't see anything, right? So a lot of the first 2 seasons, we were doing things literally like with our ears, our feels, like there's Barry, bam, and it's the Force. We had to use the Force because, everything was fogging up. And then, like, 3rd season, they're like, hey, I think we're going to help you out. We're going to put a fan in your helmet. I was like, yeah, cool. I started doing a couple scenes. I'm like, this is great. Hey, Brendan, hey, you like the fan in your hand? He's like, what fan? I was like, oops.
You guys don't get a fan. He gets a fan.
I never got a fan.
Oh, that's it. Because Jeremy Bulloch, the first guy to wear the Mandalorian armor, he said that's the hardest part about playing Boba Fett was you can't see. He was always counting his steps. That's how he had to do it.
I mean, I pride myself on that work, honestly, like understanding how to get out of a room, get to a hole, get down ladders. That's the fun challenge of it all. And that's the kid in me loves that moment. I don't have long hair like Lateef. Now he's got a little, shorter hair right now, but it's still going to steam up that helmet. I don't have that problem. I literally have space in my helmet, and I have a little pad that's in the front, and it's great. I can breathe. I don't have the problem of fogging up. So
Kind of knows, by the way, this profile.
yeah. So I don't have that problem, but I will say he was positive, and he talked about that cool fan they put in his. I'm gonna tell you right now, the jetpack this year, it's gonna be the best thing. But to this point, it's been the worst addition to Mando. I don't care how cool y'all think it is. Try to fall in it, try to walk around in it for longer than 10 minutes without your shoulder wanting to fall off. It just wasn't. I made the adjustment this year and told them that they had to add a posture brace to it. And then they figured out this spine thing so it doesn't sit in a way that pulls off you. And I know a lot of you, the reason why I'm describing that is because a lot of you either get the things from Legacy or somebody and they tell you, this is how you're going to make that jetpack worth wearing all day because it will not tear your shoulders off and make your neck hurt. So, and I know you guys do cosplay, and so I want to share that with you. But that jetpack is the worst addition. And then trying to figure out what, they wanted it so that I would sit in the N1 in the jetpack. I was like, I can't fit in the N1 without it on. I'm not fitting in it with this thing on. It's not going to happen. So, yeah.
I don't got a back brace.
Yeah, you do now.
Oh, I do now? That was you? That was okay. Nice.
That was a good question. Now we got TK's question.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, our pleasure.
Not a Mandalorian question at all. You talk, you go into these interviews, you're trying on suits, you don't know what you're doing, Okay, all of us, or in all of you, because you're in Star Wars. When you got that final call, and they said, "Hey, you're in Star Wars. You're in Mandalorian." What was it like? Is it like getting drafted for the NBA? Did you do backflips? Did you guys hang up the phone and be like, "Oh my God, it's Star Wars"? You know, what did you do?
So do you want to know? You want to know the Hollywood answer? You want to know the real answer?
I want your personal, you as a fan, because you were a Star Wars fan. You've been in Hollywood.
Huge.
You've done
And
stuff.
I've been
Your
around, and
grandfather,
I've been
he's
cut
got
out of
Emmys.
more
You
than
guys
I've
have
been
done
in.
stuff.
So mine is probably gonna be very different. I had a kid who was going to college. I had 2 young kids. I was bartending. I was trying to figure out how I was going to pay for any of the extras my kid needed in college. So mine was a dad's excitement, even more than the kid who was the youngest at 8 and only could play with Boba Fett because everyone else got the first choice. And so, like, Boba became mine, and then I owned it. But that was a big deal for me at that moment. Now, I will tell you this. We worked 5 days a week. I never stopped bartending first season because I don't trust the business. And so I worked all the way through second season when I got sick, and then I couldn't work. I was in the hospital for like a month. But, like, I worked 7 days a week for that whole time. So, yeah, I mean, yes, was I excited and was I honored to be in Star Wars? 100%. But I had to find, because I was older too, I knew that it could disappoint me in a heartbeat. And I didn't want them to take that from me. I didn't want to give them that strength. I still wanted to love Star Wars. So I hedged my bet. What about you?
I didn't realize, right, there's no like official, like, you're in Star Wars, congratulations, come on down. So I didn't realize until, I don't know, maybe a fan, it could have even been at a convention when someone says, how does it feel to be a part of Star Wars? And you're like, oh, wow. And, you know, I start remembering, like, my dad used to wake us up as Darth Vader, you know, like, he would be like, Barry, I'm your father, you must get out. Like, so it just starts to make all these things connect, but it was also the biggest production I'd ever worked on, and so I felt a lot of pressure initially. I also come from a world of like performing in Cirque du Soleil and other things where it's like someone just says, oh yeah, that's not right, you're out. Yeah, that's not right, you're out. And so one of my first days on set, I was in a cart with Gina Carano, and I'm like laying in this cart, and they stop production. Bryce is directing, but Dave is not there. John's not there. And they come over, and they're like almost measuring the length of my neck from the helmet to my collarbone. And I'm like inside just like freaking out trying to adjust it because I'm like, am I going to lose this job because my neck's too long? I don't know. And because Jon Favreau is very specific about what he wants. So John had been watching from an iPad and calls in, and like luckily they adjusted some padding and fixed some things. And then so I don't think initially it wasn't a super like relaxing, enjoyable thing, you know. It's like you need to keep up with these two really amazing, talented humans, and don't screw it up. And so that, I think initially was a lot of pressure. It's later that maybe you get to enjoy it, and that part sinks in. Like right now, yeah.
Was I the only one who was comparing their necks after he said that? I'm looking right at this angle at all 3 of your necks, and they're all 3 different lengths. All right, way in the back, we got a Mando question. Looks like from a Mando.
Yep.
Wow, he's really decked out.
So, question. Oh, first of all, a statement. Thank you so much for, again, taking time away from your families and coming out here and spending time with the fans. It really does mean a lot to see you guys. It's really cool. So, thank you so much. If there's a fight scene that you guys could just relive or just spend rent-free in your mind that you could either want to do or, like, have already done, what would it be?
I'm a huge fan of Prisoner episode, and I love watching Lateef, and I literally have proof that I did some flatback, but like the rest of that fight when he goes through that ship and is knocking out those robots and taking on the blurg, they were working till almost 4 in the morning, just watching Lateef get thrown up, and I mean, they destroyed the set in that control room on Prisoner, just getting it just absolutely ruined. And then him sliding through and cutting cables on that was when I went, he is one of the most, I mean, I love Lateef. I'll kill for him. I'll bring a rug to his house and bury it. I don't care. But, and that was from day one. But when I saw that, when I saw the way he flew through there, and that was when I really understood that they were suppressing Lateef, and his ability to act is real because he was able to keep that power that you see throughout that fight. That was when you go, oh no, this dude is beyond talented. This dude is so unreal. So that's my fight scene.
Cool, that's a cool question.
I could echo the same thing. I mean, Lateef helped me so much with a lot of things, but I'm very skilled at a lot of things. But he has a skill that it's like watching water kind of just glide. And when you see him like mapping it out and then seeing it happen, I mean, he's the closest thing I've ever seen to like a real life action hero. I don't think there's anyone that can do what he does. It's really fast. It's like it's like if you can do something that's really hard and you see someone else do something that's really hard, you're like, that's really hard, and it's really
And
it's
he
really
makes it
impressive, you
effortless.
know. And so yeah, it's like a beautiful dance to watch happen. It's really cool.
Oh, there we go.
It's a little different because, like, you know, it's hard for me to answer this question because, you know, I'm doing a lot of the stunts and stuff. These guys are you know, we're family, man, and you know, the respect is mutual for everyone, and you know, like I said, you know, love for each other is real. So you know, I appreciate y'all, and they're being, you know, very nice, and they're, you know, just too nice, man. There's more to it that I just can't say because you guys, you know, fucking choking me up and shit. But what I would like to see, what would be funny. Okay, so I gotta tell the story. So you guys saw the Moff Gideon fight in season 2, correct? With the spear, right? When we went off on there. So you know, in the room when we were with the baby, it's actually him with the baby, and him, you know, Moff is like, yeah, go ahead, take him if you can, or whatever, right? And so after there's a couple lines, and then, you know, Brendan goes to get Grogu, and then the fight starts, right? You guys remember that? Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. So I was with Brendan before we go up to the scene. I was like, Brendan warned him. I was like, Giancarlo swings hard, bro. So like, don't let him get the first swing. You know, as soon as we go, you know, and then say cut. You know, don't let him hit. He's like, all right, cool. We go in there. I'm getting my suit on, literally. Mary is like putting on my stuff, and I hear their dialogue, and they're like, yeah, you want it? Take him. Come is yours. Like, all right, Brandon, must be up. I mean, I'm gonna be up soon. And then I hear, psh, oh! I swear to God, y'all. Brandon comes. I'm putting on my suit. I know everyone's putting on my suit. He comes running past me. And took off, like offset everything. I was like, Brendan, where you going? What happened? Brendan, what happened? And what I would love to see is a revenge fight with him.
They never let
Not
me
scripted.
work with him in a physical fight
Oh
again.
man, that was it. He's like, if I really fight that guy, I'm fighting him, man.
I've never broken anything on Mando. I never broke a helmet, never scratched, like
No.
nothing. He hit me with that Darksaber across the helmet and split it in half.
One down.
And I was like, and then they grabbed me and I was like, oh, somebody get me off this set right now. and then to add insult to injury, I heard Giancarlo, who I love.
Oh, we love him. Respect. All
He was
respect.
talking about, you know, I had to show him that, and I was like, argue that yours. Next time, tell me I'm in a real fight, sir.
Maybe you'll
Tell
fight
it
him in
was
the
a funny
movie.
bone.
No, I didn't say. I just.
It's gotta be. Doesn't somebody please die in The Mandalorian? Just one. I mean, we had the one guy I know for sure died. It was the first kill in The Mandalorian. He's here.
Oh, yeah.
Dimitri.
He was
split him in
the
half.
he was the Quarren that got split in half at the door.
Yeah.
But I swear, I look at Dave and John all the time, and I look at them and I go, can someone please guy. If I'm really that badass, why aren't they dead yet?
Well, the rumor is Moff Gideon was a clone because he doesn't have his mustache. Hey, I didn't start it. I didn't start the rumor. I'm just saying what I heard.
You guys make think Thrawn might give Mando nightmares. It's Moff.
By the way, he broke 6 dark sabers till the end. That was it. The props only made 6. The guy was sweating. The prop master was sweating, bullets. And then we gave him the Ahsoka one. He's like, "Don't break this one." He broke that one over my head. All of them.
I'm interviewing him in November in Rhode Island, so I'm gonna bring all this back. What you guys said, Barry. Do you have anything about Giancarlo too that I could throw at him?
Not that can top that.
I gotta say this though, man. That guy, we're saying this with all respect because he brought it, and like, awesome. And to be honest, and this is like one of the. It wasn't just the stunt guy won the Emmy. It was me and him, I believe. All of us. You know what I mean? That kind of got the Emmy. And don't see it as the stunt work because if he didn't make that scene what it was, it wouldn't have got to where it got.
I interviewed him in San Antonio a year ago, and he came out on the stage and just when I introduced him, he came right out and said, "You have something I want." Gave that whole speech, and the audience was just living it, licking it up.
All the lines that day?
Oh, you said that, not me.
When he kicked that Beskar spear into his hand, it's one of the greatest moments in Mando fight history for sure, because he just went, and you were like, "Oh, this is awesome." I love that. That was his.
All right, that might be doing really well. His best question so far. That was a good one. So you might be winning another helmet. But we got a question here in the corner, right? There he is.
Thanks, guys, for your time today. Appreciate it. Mine is a more filming question, maybe a two-parter. So do y'all prefer location filming or working in the volume? And from the outside looking in, right, the volume seems a little disorienting to work with. Maybe talk about your experience with that.
I would say this: 90% of what we do is on set at the Manhattan Beach Studios. Like we don't leave there most of the time. The first time we actually left to go on location was when we introduced Boba with Robert Rodriguez, and we went out to Simi Valley. Everything else is right there. We are on stages or in the back lot a little bit. That said, the volume, I remember on the screen test, John being so geeked out about standing in this stage, and it's just like a huge open warehouse. And he's like, "I'm building these blah, blah, blah." And he's talking another language. And I'm like, "There's a what and a huh and a how." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, uh-huh." I have no idea what he's talking about. And then I got to go in, and it was amazing to be able to stay present in a scene, working with whatever you were working with, whether it was Grogu or the Razor Crest, and not have to worry about potentially seeing, like imagining something, taking yourself out, okay, on the count of 3, this is going to happen, but I still got to stay connected. And the difference between a green screen or whatever, blue screens, a guy running around with a stick and a tennis ball, is night and day. So I didn't get disoriented. Now, we have a friend who works at Legacy who's awesome, Tam, who was walking in, and the whole idea is that the focus point moves with the camera and it comes out like a triangle. But the other points are a little blurrier. And as she was walking in, they moved that camera, and her whatever end point for her, she just walked along and just went boom. And like she felt like they say like drunks fall, they don't get hurt because they're very loose. That she didn't even notice she was falling. It was so disorienting for her. I never had. I think by the grace of God, never had a problem with it. But I love that. I love being a part of all those things, sitting in my ship in the volume. For me, I love that a lot more than going outside.
When you were in that room, though, was it the lava room at the end of season 1? Oh, yeah. That room tripped me out because it's moving in the lava, and then when you move the camera, the whole stage moves, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I started falling, so.
If you see, I locked my elbow like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I never lost my balance because I was able to push off. I
Yeah.
knew it was going to be an issue. Or I just closed my eyes during the scene. I did. I mean, I slept during a couple scenes that are in the episodes. I can tell you exactly where and what they are too, but I won't.
Yeah, it's cool because, you know, even though there is the volume, even within the volume, there's a practical set usually that someone has spent months making. There was one moment where I went to sit in a chair that I thought was real, and it was not real. But it really does, like, especially like Brendan said, if the camera's focused on it, you think you can go to it. And so you go to sit, and it wasn't a real chair.
Hey, so last season, dude, you got to help me out with this. So this is funny, right? So last season, I think when Moffat shoot me, and me and Katie were out there battling, it was that scene. Me and him were both switching off, characters on set. And Brendan, he reads his book. He's like in Video Village in his chair. And he's like this, right? And I got like 4 squibs. Moffat shoots me, ping, ping, ping. And squibs are the sparks you see coming off when I get shot. And then they go action, and he starts shooting me. And it's like, I'm doing the reaction. I was like, oh, shoot, there's no sparks. What happened? And then Brendan, you can hear him saying something, hey, what's going on? His sparks went off in his seat. So they switched us around. And the sparks were on him. I was like,
I'm not gonna brag, but I literally was sitting there, and I think Mercedes was right there. Simon was next to me. It was just those two out there fighting, Katie and Lateef fighting Moff. And I was just sitting there reading, and these things start going bang, bang, bang. I didn't even move. There was a guy who was right over here who literally had a heart attack. I was like, what are you like? He was like, oh my God, he's on fire. Has somebody help him? And I was like, we're fine. They're just squibs.
And all of a sudden it starts going on fire.
And it was the son-in-law of the head VFX guy who had squibbed me up and not turned him off. And they thought they were going to have an issue. I didn't care. I was like, that's hilarious. Yeah. And they were like, we just want to make sure you're okay. I'm like, get the hell away from me. First time in 3 seasons, you guys check and see if I'm okay. Nobody asked me after I sat inside the Anzellan's work factory for 10 hours.
We do have time for one question, but I see Bobby over there dressed like a Grand Admiral. Do you have something for me?
Oh, yes. Yes, we do. Not specifically for you, actually.
I got that.
This is for Mr. Brendan Wayne and Mr. Lateef Crowder. I'm sorry, Barry, you've already actually been inducted. So the Rebel Legion is here to induct Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder into the Rebel Legion as honorary
Just to be clear,
members.
because Barry's already been inducted. It's not
Barry
like
has already been inducted.
So they're
Thank
going to
you.
come up.
It is an honor.
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm the Kessel Base Commanding Officer. Hi, Brian. And for your induction, Ghost Base actually submitted it, and then they couldn't get it done in time. So it is on behalf of us and them.
Okay.
We would like to present you honorary membership into the Rebel Legion.
That is amazing.
Officially a good guy.
See,
And there's the coin for your detachment.
Foreshadow for the movie, right? Because now I'm like part of the Rebel Legion. Something like that, right?
If you want to talk about the movie, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So in A New Hope, there's this kid.
And Lateef, it is my pleasure to induct you on behalf of Kessel Base and the Rebel Legion as a member.
I'm honored. I'm very, very honored. Thank you guys so much. It's funny, the 501st are so inspirational to us. You have no idea, man. Like, when you guys were on set, too, the first season, man, it was just, they're part of the family. They're part of the Star Wars universe. They're part of Mando, and I'm just happy to be part of it as well. So, thank you. And the Rebel Legion. Yes. So, thank you guys very much.
Thank
I
y'all.
appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. They took pictures of you guys. Go.
So you guys are officially rebel scum.
We'll take it.
All right, get off my stage. Get off my stage. Get the hell out. Get.
This is a hypothetical question, but plausible.
It better be short.
Yeah.
A short joke?
I've often wondered about actors and stuff like that and how you choose jobs. In this case, if Hollywood came calling and we want Brendan Wayne as a front man, and no hat, people see him, all the stuff, but it's being done at the same time as this, would you give it up?
All right, so this question has been asked and answered in my life. Yeah, and I can't say the show that it was a tough decision, and it was what you would think would be like a dream come true in one aspect to be a part of. But there's a lot of sacrifices you make to be on this show, and there's no violins playing for me, but there are choices you have to make, and you have to understand you're working for a business, and clearly nobody does the business better than the ones who are in charge of us in that sense. And so in business, making money is the way they go, and all those things that I do this for, telling the stories, being a part of a community, having an effect, like somebody's grandparent is able to watch this show with their grandson, and they don't have to flinch or cover ears, and they're part of something like that. And that was the difference for me personally was, hey, would it be fun for me egotistically to go do what I was going to do? Yeah. But would I be as proud of the story that I was going to be able to tell generationally? And that's something like, if you don't know that about Star Wars coming in as an actor, maybe it's an easier answer. Maybe you're thinking business, so I'm going to go take business. But for me, there's so many more factors in life, and you make money any way you can. You really can, and things work out as long as you keep your head up and you keep working. Honestly, you value yourself, you find a way. But one thing you can't ever replace is your dignity. And finding that being able to work with you guys, walking out and shaking hands and having somebody from the Netherlands tell me that they had PTSD so bad they couldn't get off their couch after being a law enforcement guy, and someone attacked them, and the Mandalorian helped them get up and get back out there. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, I'm taking that 100 times over fame and notoriety. Plus, with the helmet on, I'm still able to coach a local high school and my kids without hesitation. So that's where I come from on that answer.
I'm just going to add to his thing a little bit, and this is just in my opinion to answer your question about him at least. He's the Mandalorian. He invested so much of who he is and his talents in this character, he can't leave. Does that make sense? I would think that, Lucasfilm Disney would put it on hold if he was to say yes to something, because it's not one of those jobs where it's like, this is getting anyone to jump in his suit, You can't replace it because he's pretty much the character. Like, it's not just like he's playing something that's already established. He helped establish it. So we all did, And so now we're all kind of screwed, And there's a lot of people out there asking me, hey, man, are you still in the industry and still in stunts? I was like, man, I've been, been working but they don't see me anywhere else, and I'm in a mask. So, we're pretty invested, so much. So that's, yeah.
All right.
A lot of it is also all the people on set that you get to become a family with. That's, it's such a special, joyful, rewarding part of what the job is, to get to know people, and I think that makes it really special, and Brendan's a huge part of that.
If I ever go to another job and I'm on a show with an actor or something, it's like, that's not my brother. It's like, this guy is like, hurry up, let's get this job over so I can go back to the Mandalorian. That's not my brother right here. It's not the same, man. When it's a family and like, if you guys know, like the whole crew is, you can use as a reference. Like everyone's a fan, like from day one to a trilogy, and everyone knows canon.
Yeah.
Everybody. Lighting.
Except for he and I.
Yeah, we know the worst. Yeah, we and like.
Like, you can't do what? No.
Yeah.
Hold my beer.
Yeah.
All right, I want to thank you three guys for coming, but we have one last thing we need to do. We need to find out who was the best question, and between Giancarlo being too violent and you winning a bunch of Emmys, I forgot which one was the best question. So which one do you guys remember? Was it his question, Lateef's question, or the guy in the back? What are we thinking? His question was the best because he wants to know about the movie, but his answer was not so good because he couldn't say much.
I thought my answer was fantastic.
Oh, we have a judge in the audience. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, the three of you, what do you think? That guy in the back or that guy right there?
What was his question again?
Something about the Family Feud. What was your question?
Favorite fight scene.
And your answer was really good because it was about, yeah. You win.
Yeah, that's the.
Go, come on down.
That's tough. Great one, though.
He's leaving the room. Is he leaving the room? All right. Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much. You guys going to be here for the rain of the weekend in the autograph hall, and we can probably bother you in the hallway if we see you, right?
Come on, come hang out, tell your friends.
Call your
We don't
in-laws.
bite.
Real quick, if you don't mind, if that's all right.
Oh, he's taking the stage now.
I know it's a gift to me. If you don't mind, I'd like to give this to the youngest person in the room. Because Star Wars is such an inspiration.
Okay, I'm 7. Okay.
Winner, I was solid. Thank
That was
you.
good. That was good. Who's the youngest person in the room?
So who's the youngest person in the room?
That little kid back there. Give it to him. Okay, by the way, that helmet was donated by BigBadToyStore.com. They gave that to give to this one. They gave the other toys as well, correct? A lot of them. Well, that's good for them. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good weekend. We'll see you guys downstairs.